welcome to the 78th episode of Recluse Horror. This is a daily horror movie review podcast. With me again today is Sam.
Hey.
So just a little background on the project. Back on my birthday in April, I decided I wanted to watch and review a horror movie every single day. I have done so for the past 345 days. Although only the last 78 of them have been podcasts. Before that, it was text reviews. So this one is likely going to be a pretty short episode. By saying that, I've obviously doomed us to like an hour-long episode somehow. But,
Doubtful.
No. It'd be hard to talk about this one for an hour, even if you were really trying. But, the movie that we watched today, it was about a 3.5-minute short film called The Mime. This one, it came out in 2018, and it was by Dan Allen as the writer and director. So, if that narrows it down, there are a number of things called The Mime or Mime Attack, or like a variation on that. So that's the one that we're talking about today, is the one by Dan Allen. So, Sam, how did you like The Mime from 2018?
It was okay.
Yeah. I thought it was one of the better short films that I've watched recently, personally.
Nice.
Yeah.
I haven't watched too many.
Yeah. You came with me to see Annihilation.
Yeah.
So that was a feature length. We talked about that for 85 years. And I could have talked about it for 85 more years, as we were just talking about off air. Samuel, how long do you think you could have talked about it?
For longer. Not that long.
Not 85 years?
No.
Okay. So The Mime is about a mime. It's about, I mean, you can't say anything about this one.
It's exactly what I thought it would be about.
Me too. Given the title.
Yeah, so in that way there's not a lot to say. It's actually very like reminiscent of like was the Jester?
The Jester, a bit, yeah.
Not exactly. I think the Jester is a little bit more like
playful,
quirky and neat. Yeah,
and this is definitely a straight horror. There are definitely parts of it that you can kind of smile at, but it's not the Jester level of there's no outright laughs. I don't think in this.
There's no levity.
No, not really. There's a couple of things that you can kind of giggle at, I suppose, if you're of that, persuasion, but there's no laughs. The Jester is very much, I wouldn't even call The Jester a horror comedy, but it is, there are some legitimately funny parts in it. If you haven't seen The Jester or The Jester Chapter 2, I think they call it Chapter 2, those are some of my favorite short films that I've seen for this. There is a review on those if you go back. I think it's on the episode The Birch episode?
I can't remember.
And The Birch is super great too. But anyway, it's on one of the previous episodes. If you haven't heard the reviews, you can go back and listen to those. If not, just watch it.
Yeah, take 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch them both.
Yeah, they're so great. But anyway, back to The Mime. There's not really much that you can say about this one. You can kind of guess what it's probably going to be about just based on that title and based on the image from the picture, but I'm not going to give anything away. That should be enough information, I feel like, to know whether you want to watch it or don't, whether you like love mimes or hate mimes and are totally frightened by mimes. Like all of that kind of will give you as much as you need to know about that, this particular short film. I liked this one quite a bit. I thought it was pretty good. I love any kind of capering and stuff like that. Again, same reason why I would have enjoyed The Jester. But this isn't exactly the same. It's not capering, but it's still any of those physical performances that are really hard to sort of pull off. I really appreciate those. There was another one that I talked about recently, did an episode about called Peephole, that had a measure of that. Any kind of physical performances, those are really neat. Now, what did you think about the performance of the mime character?
It was pretty good. It was a little like light,
That's what I was thinking. Is I did appreciate it, but I felt like I would have wanted more of it.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of personality in it.
I thought there was more towards the end.
Yeah, definitely towards the end, but It's only 3 minutes. There's not
yeah,
like an end.
I think it's 3:31. Yeah, is not a ton of a time for that, but yeah, I felt like I did want more from this. I wanted them to show more of the miming and stuff like that. I thought that would have been really good, but what was there I thought was very, very much decent and competent. What did you think about the acting overall?
It was fine. What is there? No dialogue?
No, there's a couple. There's just a few words
lines,
and stuff
right?
like that. Yeah, not anything severe, but the emoting, the facial expressions, and the physical performances.
It was good. The mime was good.
Mm-hmm.
The other character was okay. I didn't notice anything bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't notice anything particularly great either.
I thought her facial expressions were fairly realistic to the scenario. That's really something that can be a little hard to nail down because everybody sort of reacts to things a little bit differently. But I didn't think that she had any particular problems at all. I bought her performance. She just seemed a little, irked and whatever. Basically everything that all of the different scenarios that she found herself in. Yeah. I felt it felt realistic enough to the circumstances. What about the lighting?
It was fine. It was a little dark.
Little dim.
And I get what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
A big like plus / minus for me was I really liked the
location?
The location.
Yeah.
It was just the biggest problem with it because it's in like an underpass, like a walkway underpass.
Yeah, like
and
an
those
underground walking tunnel.
Yeah, and those are always like a little weird. Those always seem a little weird when you're in them.
For sure.
I liked the pick, but I didn't feel like it felt that weird when they were in it. Like
it didn't look creepy.
Yeah, it didn't feel creepy more. Like I didn't feel like I heard the kind of sounds you hear in those.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah,
and just the feel. Like I didn't. It's probably hard to do too, but there's just a certain feel you get when you're in those, like through the echoing of the sound and the lighting. And I think
being kind of trapped.
Yeah, and I think they just kind of missed that.
I did feel like the echoing, like of footsteps, was accurate, but the other echoing wasn't. I stopped focusing on it by the time there was like any dialogue or anything. I didn't notice the echo at that point. But I do feel like I would have probably heard it if there was a lot of it. I have no idea. We're just at this point. I'm speculating, but. Yeah, I did feel like one of the things I kind of liked that the location didn't look overly creepy. Because those things, they usually are brightly lit. That's the one area
I think that's
where
the thing.
I
think it should have been brighter.
Yeah.
And it would have been creepier.
Yeah, okay. So that's kind of what I was, that's what I was thinking. Is like if it looked so innocuous, like those things just really look, it was definitely dimmer. And I understand why they did, actually. For the look of the characters, I do understand why you couldn't go with full-on bright tube lighting along both of the sides.
And they're not always bright. I've been in dark ones before.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. The ones that I've been in have been mostly...
Mostly they are bright, but I have been in dark ones.
Yeah. But I kind of did, like, other than not being, like, overly bright, that would have been really neat to see, too, like, the very, very bright ones, because it seems like such a clean space and such a, like... It makes you focus on what's actually happening more than, like, the location. Not that I was, like, distracted by anything in the location for any reason. But, I don't know. Something about it, like, sterile. Something like being, like, having a horror movie in a hospital or something, you know? Kind of a little bit like that. I am not explaining it very well, but I'm feeling kind of weird today. Yeah, what did you think about the sound design? I mean, I know you mentioned like
it was not my favorite part of it.
No, I thought the music that was chosen was okay. There's a couple of moments where it was a little overbearing, but I thought overall it was pretty all right. I think it was in the vicinity of what the tracks wanted to be personally.
The effects and the makeup were pretty good. They're probably the highlight. Probably. overall, I think the filming's fine. I think the lighting may be a little dark, but fine. The angles and setup of the shots are pretty good. I think
especially
that's pretty,
considering the challenges there.
I think that's actually another strong part. Is that too? Is to
make it interesting in like just a long hallway shot.
Yeah,
they had a number of angles.
The shots they used to help you follow the story. The premise is kind of interesting. I wish it would. No, I guess they did good with the premise. They could have done more with it, but it's only 3 minutes. But
they could do a sequel.
Yeah, the premise was good. And the effects, the makeup was pretty halfway decent. Just a little just base, like kind of average, but it worked fine for what they needed it for.
I thought there were some touches with the effects and stuff like that were just a little bit like more than I was expecting.
In a good way.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say so too. Nothing spectacular, but nothing like...
There was some attention to detail put into some of it, though. Like, as much as they were probably able to accomplish, they did, you know. Yeah. But yeah, the camera angles, too, I had forgotten. That was one thing I wanted to bring up, but we were talking about something else at the point. But yeah, this is really... It's a long hallway. It's a narrow hallway. It's... and it's underground, or it legitimately at least appears to be underground. And so there's not a whole lot of, when you build these sets, if this was a multi-million-dollar affair, you can build a set where it looks like it's underground, but really you can pop out the walls and you can film alongside in a way that you can't do in like an actual closed concrete space. And they were still able to get some measure of side shots and, some pretty compelling angles out of that I feel like would be incredibly hard to do in a space with those dimensions. So I thought that particular aspect, I was expecting it to basically just go back and forth from one perspective or another straight down that hallway, and they definitely didn't do that. I think the length helped with that a lot because it was short, as we mentioned, 3.5 minutes. So they only had to come up with a few angles, and they only had to use them for a pretty short amount of time. And I think that's clever. I think if they had tried to do a 15-minute one, even the angles that they have wouldn't have been enough. So it was a really good choice to limit the length of this one. Both on the story would have been annoying after 15 minutes, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless they added to it, a different layer to it.
Yeah, some more setup or more backstory.
Yeah. And the angles would have gotten tired, and there's nothing that you could do about that. So yeah, absolutely well done on those choices for sure. And the effects, like, there were definitely, like I said, some details that weren't necessarily necessary, I guess is the word, that they did include there, that I did appreciate. So, anything else?
No, there's not much else to say. It's short,
This video has like 4,700 views. I think it's way better than some of the stuff that I've seen that has hundreds of thousands of views. So really, you should try to check this out if you're interested in short films or mimes or like anything in between there. Hallways, yeah. Yes. If you like hallways, if you like British accents, the character's British, yeah, any of that stuff. It's on Dan Allen's, that's the director and writer. It's on his YouTube channel, and it looks like he has a number of other things that are also horror. He has an IMDb page as well, but it doesn't seem like it has all of his information. Like, this one doesn't have an IMDb page yet, but it was just released in like mid-January, so it's not terribly old. But yeah, definitely check this out. This is another one of those ones that like really deserves more than it has right now. And a lot of that is, people are better at like promoting stuff or have better tools or, better networking or whatever. But yeah, this one way, way better than stuff that I've seen with hundreds of thousands, even a couple of them that I've seen that have like millions of views or upwards of 1 million views. So, definitely check this out. It's well worth your time and the price of admission, which, for most short films, all on YouTube, free. So, did you have anything else that you wanted to say? Okay. So that's our review of The Mime, from 2018. That's this year. And that's our episode. So thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please rate, review, subscribe, whatever it is on whatever site that you found us. But the best way that you can help out the show is to share it, either with someone that you love or someone that you think would be interested in the show, or in this particular case, someone who's interested in mimes. I am super into mimes. I think they're fucking great. Sam, what are your feelings on mimes?
They're fine.
They're fine? You're not a big mime person?
I'm a fine mime person.
You're a fine mime person?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I fucking love mimes. I love, like I said, capering and gesturing, all of that
But you
stuff.
hate clowns.
Not as big into clowns. Do like mimes. So, anyway, if you would like to share this with someone...
Anyway, Glossy.
If you would like to share this with someone and they don't have the same platform as you, we are available on... Sam's over there being a jerk. Sorry. If you would like to share this with someone and they do not have the same platform as you, you can find us on YouTube, Player FM, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, and pretty much any podcatcher out there. That also goes if you just don't like the platform that you found us on, obviously. If you would like to reach out to us on social media or, find a way to stab Sam through the internet, then you can do so on Facebook.
Feel better than you have tried.
Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can email me at reclusehorror@gmail.com. Now that does go directly to me, so don't stab through that directly.
At me.
You have to forward. You give it to me. Give me the knife, and I'll forward it to Sam
the knife.
so that he gets stabbed. So,
Number
however that works.
The knife.
I'm sure there's a horror movie that does that.
Get the knife.
Get the knife. Did I mention get the knife?
The knife.
Yeah. So Sam, do you have a rating for the mime?
It's 7.5 Mr. Mimes.
Oh, 7.5 Mr. Mimes.
Yeah,
Oh, shit. Yeah. I'll give it, I will also give it a 7.5. No, I'll give it like 17 3/4 of Marcel Marceau. Just because. For the lulz.
Not Pagliacci.
Oh, Pagliacci. Oh, boy, yeah. Okay. It also gets 4 Pagliaccis.
Can I see something scary?
No, I don't. Goodbye, everybody. Sam, say goodbye.
Scary.
Sam.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.